नमस्कार, मैं आपका आलोक रंजन। Today's agenda is to talk about climate change and global warming with certain perspectives. This topic is really hot in terms of the kind of coverage it will have in the newspapers, the kind of talks which are going on in the world, and also because of the growing urbanization, and also because of the population explosion which has taken place, especially the urban explosion which has taken place across the world. Urban explosion is a phenomena not only of India, but it is of the world scenario. So our topic today is very much related, very much relevant, and very much connected to the current developments in the world, and it has deep environmental concerns. It has related with our lives in general. So I hope this video will help you in learning about your urban surrounding and what all problems and what all causes and what are the effects which are coming through the global warming and the urban heat island concepts. I want to show you this map. This has been taken from the National Geographical Society. I owe this map to the National Geographical Society. I have a word of thanks for them. Now look at this is your London street. If I stand here, this is the middle of the London street, and these two sides are having the urban, we call it concrete structures. You can call it skyscrapers. So these skyscrapers and these roads, they all are constructed of, even the pavements, even the buildings, the roads, even the cars, they are all constructed of, made of the building materials like iron, steel and plastics and mortar, bricks, stone chips. So these all have the very high heat capacity and very high thermal conductivity. They can absorb enormous amount of heat and they preserve this heat with them. And the urban areas are extremely hot, and the temperature can be up to 12 degrees centigrades more than the normal. What has been found is generally the temperature will be 3 degrees higher than the rural areas or the surrounding areas. But even 25 degree higher temperatures have been found in certain pockets of the central business districts of the metropolitan regions. This urban heat island phenomena is deeply connected with the large urban agglomerations. Small villages or small urbs or suburbs have no such heat island development, but cities like New York, cities like Delhi, and cities like maybe Bangalore, they have this urban heat island phenomena. The condition is so worst now that the actual quality index, we call it AQI, the air quality index, which shall be 60 to 70 units in the air, but actually it is found more than 323 in Delhi. So the living condition in Delhi is pathetic, it is horrifying, and Delhi doesn't provide the best environment for our living and for our good health. Okay, so coming to the topic now, I hope my notes are gone. Where are my notes? कौन सा है और okay, I think I have to learn a lot of technology. Anyways, coming to our topic again. So this is your urban heat island. I have given you the kind of introduction, some kind of introduction, and now coming to the discussion part. So we have origin and causes of UHI, urban heat island. Now about origin, we have three distinct theories. When you go in academics, when you go for competitive examinations, when you try to write civil services, simple understanding of a topic, it doesn't help at all. You have to score better than others, and you have to excel among all the students who are competing with you. So to find that excellence, you need to have a very structured knowledge, you need to have a very concerted effort and very pinpointed, very correctly, scientifically organized subject matter. So I am trying to provide you the same. This is entirely for the purpose of PT or mains or interview or wherever it is demanded. Coming to the theories now. So the first theory on urban heat island is the dust dome hypothesis. Dust dome hypothesis. This is the most proclaimed theory. This is the most discussed theory, most debated theory. What is dust dome? The urban areas have human volcanoes. Human volcanoes refers to the industrial chimneys, the factory pollutants. So all these factories and industries and all those big thermal power plants, these are all called urban volcanoes, or you can call it human volcanoes. So these volcanoes are erupting all the time, 24 hours, and they are erupting aerosols and the polluted gases and the smoke and the carbon soot and so many pollutants, the urban particulates. So all these are collected at a particular height, especially 1.5 kilometers from the sea level. They all will go and form a congregation. They form an umbrella. So that umbrella which is formed by the aerosols and the other pollutants will be called the urban dome, or we call it the dust dome, which lies at the height of 1 to 1.5 kilometers from the surface or from the sea level taken for that particular urban area. Now this dust dome is mostly found in arched form. It is totally arched, and the center will have the height around even 4 to 5 kilometers. So generally the line of condensation is taken as 2 kilometers in the air, in the troposphere. So above it, this urban dome can be found above the line of condensation. So all these particulates becomes frigid nuclei, or they may become frigid nuclei, and they can form, they have the capability, the capacity, potential to form the urban clouds. And these urban clouds will stop the ultraviolet rays, but they allow the long wave radiation, that is microwave or the radio waves. So all these waves, the long wave waves, can enter the city and they are absorbed by the concrete structures, while the ultraviolet rays are stopped there. Now this also creates greenhouse effect. All the radiating heat, re-radiating heat, or the Earth's terrestrial radiation which is generated by these buildings and apartments and the roads, from where the soil has been removed, vegetation has been removed, all these vegetation and soil have been replaced by the urban structures. So all these urban structures begin to emanate heat, and this heat flows up like convections, and they are stopped by the urban dome, or the smoke, or the aerosol dome, or the dust dome. So the first theory, which is considered responsible for the formation of urban heat island, is the dust dome hypothesis. Now in dust dome hypothesis, there are two things to be marked. The temperature which will be the highest in the city center at least shall be more than 2 to 3 degree, and the surrounding area, the suburban areas, will have lesser temperature but is still higher than the rural areas, and the rural areas will have even further less temperature. That temperature could be even less by 10 to 12 degrees centigrades. So in comparison to the urban center and the rural surrounding, this temperature difference could be to the extent of 12 to 3 degrees centigrades. Now this condition, this gradient, this thermal gradient, this horizontal thermal gradient, which is found from the city center away from or across the rural urban fringe areas, is called the phenomena of heat island. There is accumulation of heat at the center of the city, and as you move away from the city center, you will have reduction in the temperature, and in the surrounding vicinities of the rural areas or the rural urban fringe areas, suddenly the temperature is much less. Now, after the dust dome hypothesis, you have the second hypothesis, and that is related to the pollution. So we can call it the pollution theory, or it is also called the anthropogenic forcings. The anthropogenic forcings. IIT Kharagpur has published a paper recently, few months back, which proclaims that it is the anthropogenic factors or forcings which are responsible for the formation of heat island. It has taken the case study of cities like Bangalore. Bangalore was once a kind of hill station. It was a very cool city, and there was no air conditioning facility or even fan was required. But today the temperature of Bangalore will be so high, ranging from 32 degree to sometimes 38 degrees centigrades. Even in that is because of the fact that Bangalore city developed into electronic city, and all those kind of heat which is generated by the vehicles, by the factories, by the we call it waste heat actually. The waste heat which is emerging from these electrical equipments, from the computers. So this waste heat, this theory also can be called the waste heat theory. The waste heat theory. So this waste heat which is produced by all these modern equipments and our luxuries and our vehicles and our computers and our electronic equipments. So all this heat which is being generated by this all these facilities which humans have acquired in modern era, they are creating that excessive waste heat. And this waste heat is also trapped by the urban dome or the dust dome. So not only the incoming solar radiation in the form of microwave and the radio wave, but also the heat which is generated by the anthropogenic factors, they both contribute to the formation of urban heat island. So please remember, don't write simply about the sun and the radiation and the concrete structure. You must include in your discussion this waste heat theory. So that will give more value to your answer writing. Coming to the one very important discussion about the aerosols. So we can call it separately the aerosol theory. However, it cannot be taught in isolation from the pollution theory or anthropogenic forcings or from the dust dome hypothesis. But yet the role of aerosols in the formation of urban heat island must be construed, must be understood in totality, because aerosols are responsible for the formation of the heat island. Aerosols consist of the microscopic pollutants, the urban particulate pollutions, the carbon soot, the dust, the various solids which are emanating from the traffic pollution and the human volcanoes, industries. So they are all aerosols. Now these aerosols have very unique property. They can absorb the heat from the sun. They can absorb the ultraviolet rays, and these aerosols can be cool in the night and can be hot in the daytime. This is a dual property of the aerosols. Now this urban heat island phenomena is more prominent during the night and especially during the winters. You must remember that urban heat islands are best developed during the winters, because during the winters the low angle of the heat or the lesser verticality of the sun rays, or maybe you can call it the angle of incidence during the winter increases. So all these facts will amount to less heating of the aerosols, and the aerosols are much colder. And when aerosols are colder, they will act as freezing nuclei, and they can stop the heat generated from the bottom, and the heat can go and hit the aerosols and return back, and they keep hitting the lower atmosphere more. So the aerosols play a great role in the formation of urban heat island, which this phenomena is more prominent, as I said, during the winters. During the winters, the heat or the temperature of the core of the city is much more than the surrounding. Now, aerosols play another role. They also can generate greater reflection of the heat, which is they're very high reflective in terms of the heat waves coming from the Earth's radiation. Now, what they do when aerosols are there and they have this cooling effect in the upper atmosphere, so the cold air begin to sink, and when the cold air is sinking, you will have atmospheric stability at the ground. And when there is atmospheric stability on the ground at the city center, then the heat waves are less transported, and the heat waves also have lesser horizontal movement. So the heat accumulates at the center, and then it becomes urban heat island, and the temperature begin to rise there. I must explain you here that the same phenomena, urban heat island, which is the most pronounced during the winters, will be more predominant during the night, because in the night the Earth's radiation is very high, but all these cold aerosols will reflect back the heat, and the heat goes back and rewarm the air at the bottom. So the heat is conserved somehow in the lower troposphere, and especially by those concrete structures. So we have three theories related to the formation of urban heat island. Now, if I talk about anthropogenic factors, how these urban heat islands have been actually created, I told you in the beginning itself, we have devegetated the land. The land which was once occupied by the trees, the green patches, the water bodies, the soil, they all have been removed and all have been totally replaced by, totally transformed into urban structure and concrete structures. So this was the theory on origin and causes of urban heat island. We have to go short because I have to explain a lot more things which could be asked in your competitive examinations. Now you can have a look at this. Look at this. The center of the city will have more skyscrapers, and as you move further, you have urban residential areas. This is a commercial area of the city. So as we have this commercial area, this part is the CBD, or the Central Business District, which has the skyscrapers and the offices and the structure of bricks and mortars. Now this is your urban residential area. So this area is the residential area. This is your residential area. And as you move further, you have the urban forestry areas, or you can call it the green patches of the city, or you can call it the green belts. Unfortunately, countries like India have no such green belts or no such parks surrounding the city. These green belts surrounding the city are actually constructed to stop the unwarranted, random, haphazard urban development, horizontal urban development. And these green patches stop the city's horizontal growth, so city begin to grow vertically. And when the city begin to grow vertically, you will have more intense phenomena of urban heat island. Now, as we move further, we have the suburban residential areas. Like if we take the example of Delhi as a metropolitan city, the suburbs will be the Ghaziabad and the surrounding small cities like Mohan Nagar, or here if you go that side, maybe the Dwarka and the further Manesar and such establishments, the Sonipat. These are the suburbs surrounding the Delhi. Now, for Hyderabad, it could be the Cyberabad, which is growing into the main city converging with the main city, but it was once the suburb of Hyderabad. So you have this suburban residential, and then you have the rural areas. This is your suburb. Suburb meaning partially the land use pattern shows the urban growth, and partially it reflects the urban settlements also. So this is the typical rural urban fringe area. Now if you go to the last sector which is being shown on this graph, this is your rural farmlands. So this is your rural fringe. Now just look at this temperature. This line is showing the temperature variations. So here the stipulated temperature is 33 degrees centigrades, which is highest. This is the heat island phenomena over the city. And then you have the rural, the residential areas where the temperatures are falling, and it further falls where you have green patches. Again it begins to rise when you have the suburban development. Again the concrete structures are coming, and again it falls when you have the rural areas. So this is how the graph will be constructed for the urban heat island. You must use such graph. You are not required to draw such a structures or these fanciful buildings and these green areas, but you can simply show the graph and you will fetch good marks there. Now coming to my other discussion point, which is being so, this is about the circulation. Now again the same central urban structure, the CBD area, and look how the air is having convection, and this is your dust dome. And the dust dome has more vertical length at the city center, greater altitude at the city center, and the height diminishes as you go away from the city center. So this is the dust dome, typical dust dome, and you have the rising air. Then there is an air transport away from the city, and as the air cools, it sinks, and this is how the breezes are coming towards the heat islands. Just look at this phenomena. Look at the breezes and look at how the circulation has become cellular. And okay. So this, I will change the color into some different. I think it has good visibility, whatever. So this is your air which is coming into the city, and this will be called the rural breeze. This is the rural breeze. The rural breeze is coming into the city. So if you go to the city fringe area, just stand up there in the morning at 4 a.m., you will find that the rural breeze, the rural areas is much colder, and the urban heat island phenomena, if at all it has been created, the rural breeze will be coming towards you, and the cold air gradually comes towards the city. And as it comes, it is heated again and it rises. So this diagram is showing the rural breeze and the convectional system which will develop in an urban heat island. Now, we'd like to show you one more discussion point: geographical conditions for the formation of UHI. What are the geographical conditions? This could be your question for the year or maybe in the coming years. What all are the geographical conditions related to the urban heat island phenomena? So in geographical condition, you can discuss the three theories, 1, 2, and 3, which I have discussed in the beginning itself. So discuss those three theories. All these three theories are actually geographical theories. So if they ask on the geographical conditions, please discuss the three theories. Coming to the next point now, we have meteorological effects of UHI. So urban heat island and the effects and the impact. Now effects can be divided into two groups. One, meteorological, as it is stated above also. So one is the meteorological effect, and second is the anthropogenic. And third could be the impact on the eco-bio environment of the urban areas. The eco-bio environment of the urban areas. So whenever this question is asked, then impact is asked, you must formulate these three. And this kind of a structuring for your answer. Now in meteorological effect, I have discussed one. So one was this rural urban breeze. This rural urban breeze. Fine. So you have to write one paragraph on rural urban breeze. And second will be the formation of stratocumulus clouds, which are orphan clouds and which can cause drizzles and sudden rainfall. Then the rainfall vanishes in no time. You will find in urban areas that suddenly the rain has come and the droplets are down there and then it vanishes. So these erratic rainfall are actually caused by the urban heat island phenomena. Now how it is formed, I will go on a blank page now. If this is your urban area, there is the CBD, this is your CBD, and here you have the building structure, etc. And this is the convection which is taking place. So as the air is lifting, the moisture generally transported in the upper air will be much less, I said. The moisture transported in the upper air is much less, because after the urban heat formation here, the urban heat island formation here, through the urban canyons. Urban canyons are the roadways and the transportation lines or the arteries which connect the central business district or the center of the city. So all those roadways and the highways connecting to the cities are called the urban canyons. Now, because of the urban heat phenomena and the very high, lofty buildings and those structures, the wind are actually diverted through, channelized through the urban canyons or those lanes and streets and roads. So when this air is moving through these lanes and streets, they actually, the moisture is not actually transferred to the central area, rather it is distributed in different channels. So the heat which is and the air which is in contact with the concrete structures in the upper part of the urban areas or the roof areas, they are being lifted. So they have very less degree of moisture. So they contain very small degree of moisture and they will form stratocumulus clouds, and stratocumulus clouds will rain. They will have very short drizzles, and when these short drizzles will bring all those chemicals with acidic properties, mainly the sulfuric chemicals and the nitrous. So all these will fall as acid rain. So acid rain can be caused by this stratocumulus cloud, which we are going to write as SC cloud. So stratocumulus clouds. Now in case the line of condensation is at 2 kilometers, line above which condensation takes place, and the air is still lifting and the urban dome or the dust dome is at the height of say 6 kilometers. So here you will have the freezing nuclei. And when this moist air finds freezing nuclei, they can form big hails. Hails are larger frozen droplets, or they are also form a precipitation and of much bigger size, 6 mm, even more. So all these hails will begin to fall. So acid rain and hail, HAIL, and hail, and maybe drizzles. So these three phenomena can occur when you have this urban heat island phenomena. Now this is impact on There's one of the impacts on the urban areas. Now, another very important point I have to make now is the drainage of the air drainage. The total pattern of the drainage changes in the urban areas, and you have lesser horizontal visibility. When urban heat island phenomena occurs, the lesser horizontal visibility will be found, because the horizontal movement through the, as I told you, the urban canyons, the air is moving in all the channels through the roads and the lanes. So the visibility and the transport of the aerosols and dust particles and everything takes place in that particular CBD area. So the horizontal visibility is less. This is another impact. So first I told you acid rain, second is the drizzles, third is the hail, then fourth is about the visibility, which we call it urban fog, or you can call it a smog. A smog is smoke plus urban fog. But this urban fog, you must mark here, this urban fog is not created by the freezing temperature or the surface temperature becoming colder than the upper air temperature. This urban fog is more produced by the density of the pollutants and the aerosols. So this you must remember and try to differentiate from the other fog which occurs due to the inversion of temperature during the winters. Fog is generally they occur in the urban areas, and generally they are found during winters, but that normal fog is created by either the drainage of the cold air from the hilltops, or they are created by the inversion of temperature phenomena during the winter. So don't connect your previous knowledge of fog with our urban fog here. Okay, so these are the meteorological effects, and another meteorological effect is that rural urban breeze which we talked about, and another effect will be the inversion, how it impacts the inversion of temperature condition. Since the aerosols are found in the upper air, you will find a kind of inversion of temperature in such heat island areas. So when you go upward, you will start finding higher temperatures, and this phenomena is caused by two factors. A, the urban skyscrapers will hold the heat in the upper part itself, and second reason will be the presence of the aerosols also. In the lower part, the aerosols, I told you, have dual properties. In the lower part, they can absorb heat and they can become hot, or they can attain higher temperature, and in the upper part they become fusing nuclei, and they can be at the frozen temperature, the freezing temperature. Okay, so this is about the meteorological impact, and second impact is in terms of the eco-bio environment of the urban areas. Now, this very interesting point which was published by again the IIT Kharagpur researchers. So they have used this term ecotherms. These are small ants, cheetah, and the lizards. So all the lizards, and they really enjoy, they really are adaptive, they are really conducive with the higher temperatures. And when the temperatures grows higher, and the cooling of the soil and the cooling of that air, and the conditions are heated, so they will have more breeding, and the reproduction rate is much more. So one phenomena which is starking and which is very surprising and newfound is the ecotherms and their higher reproduction and their occurrence in the urban areas. आपने देखा होगा, you must have observed that in urban areas, चींटी, मच्छर, dengue, malaria, these all are growing at terrible rates. So this has connection from the urban heat island. Must remember it. Then we have this important part as well as the easiest part, how urban heat islands are affecting us, we humans. So we humans are affected in different ways. Pollution is one problem. So we have pollution of different types. So pollution, and then we have suffocating environment. We have respiratory problems. We have carcinogenic effects or cancerous. So they are actually creating health hazards. Health hazards are the outcome of this heat islands, the formation of heat island. Now they're also affecting the aquatic life, because when the heat is more and the air is transporting more heat, even the water drainage, the water in the city center has much higher temperature. So we call it thermal pollution. So another form of pollution will be thermal pollution. All those drains and the nalas and the sewages which are found in the urban areas, they have much higher temperature. So as they drain into the river temperature is also raised, and because of the thermal pollution, the aquatic lives can be destroyed, and some different aquatic lives which are more adapted to the higher temperature, they can grow and they can have more reproduction. So this effect is also seen. Some of the lakes which were there in the core part of the cities like New York and even London, even German cities, all these lakes have witnessed the destruction of their ecosystem because of the urban heat island phenomena. So the anthropogenic factors, the environmental factors, we have many factors which you will find on the internet, and now I have to discuss the solution for it, which is again very interesting part. The solution, okay, it's not in my chart, but I will take a white page for you. So what are the solution for it? The solution for the urban heat island. So solution will be urban forestry along the pavements, along the roads, even in the the road dividers, you can have forestation. So all these trees will reduce the temperature by 12 degrees centigrades from the normal. You have to believe this. They reduce the temperature. The shadow of the tree will have much lesser temperature than the open areas or the concrete areas. So, and that to the extent of 12 degrees centigrades. So you need to have urban forestry. Then you have to develop green belts. Then green belts, I have explained to you, the green belts are the rings which are developed around the cities. So maybe the CBD and a green belt, and another suburb area, residential area and the green belt, and maybe the outer green belts. So you can have patches of green belts in the city. Maybe like the ring roads, possibly you can compare with the ring roads, the green belts. Then you can have a green pavimentation. Growing grasses on the pavement areas. You cannot grow grasses on the road, but on the pavements you can grow grasses, and you can put some flower pots, etc. So this is called green pavimentation, which is being done in the European countries especially. And then you have microcarbon sinks, like development of the parks. Microcarbon sinks, the development of the green parks, the patches which could be created within residential areas, or even in the commercial areas. You can have some green patches of trees and plants, and particular plants and trees which have more absorption of heat as well as CO2, because this CO2 actually creates the greenhouse effect. So we have such methods, we have more such methods like green roofing. So when you do green roofing, there is green roofing, meaning the rooftop. can have some green patches. We can have kitchen gardens at the top, or we can have some grasses growing at the top, so that will absorb the heat and prevent the formation of heat island. And we can have this cool roof system. Cool roof system can be, I'm taking another point, cool roof. We can paint our rooftop with different colors, with light colors, with white colors, because white colors will reflect back more light rays and absorb less. And two more points I would like to add: use of asphalt. Instead of the metallic roads, if you use coal tar, asphalt is also called coal tar. So use of asphalt or coal tar can also help in the reduction of the heat island phenomena. Now, one last suggestion for you: coating of grasses and grass paving, and also the vegetative shading can be done. So all these solutions must be introduced by the Planning Commission and the urban planners. And thank you for the day. I hope you enjoy my video, and I hope you subscribe me also, because I'm simply loving this platform, coming and interacting with you people. And I'm really enjoying coming on video classes and taking certain topics which are actually very interesting and related to the human life and our civilization. Thank you for the day. Namaskar. Thank you.